As we continue on the South's hidden history, this is the 16th Street Baptist Church, one of the many sites of the Birmingham Civil Rights National Monument. Now from Alabama to Tennessee, where the National Civil Rights Museum pays tribute to Martin Luther King Jr.
It was built on the site where he was assassinated on the balcony of his motel room in April of 1968.
But it also shines a light on dozens of the lesser-known characters who played important roles in the civil rights movement.
You've heard of Martin.
I'll have you arrested.
And you've certainly heard of Rosa Parks, who so famously refused to give up her seat on a Montgomery bus to a white woman in 1955.
And this is what would later become known as the birth of the civil rights movement.
But what if I told you the household name of Rosa Parks could have been replaced with Claudette Colvin or Mary Louise Smith?
Both, like Rosa Parks, decided not to give up their seat to a white person on the bus.
And they did it the same year and in the same city as Rosa Parks. 15-year-old Colvin was arrested in March, Smith in October. These unsung heroes may be lost in many history books, but not here at the National Civil Rights Museum, where everywhere you turn is a hidden hero waiting to be found, like Bayard Rustin.
Well, he does get lost in the shuffle.
Who spoke before more than 250,000 people at the March on Washington in 1963.
He was Martin Luther King Jr.'s right-hand man behind the scenes.
And he had the pleasure of speaking after Dr. King. Talk about a hard act to follow.
He goes on right after arguably one of the most important speeches that's ever given in the history of the United States.
But King's I Have a Dream speech might have never happened had it not been for Rustin.
Bayard Rustin, if you're looking at the March on Washington as a motion picture, he was not only the director, he was also the producer.
The Westchester, Pennsylvania native had his hand in everything from training security to writing slogans to even, yes, the lineup of the speeches that day.
He had to remain behind the scenes because he was openly gay. And in the 50s and 60s, it was extremely taboo.
But nowhere was it more violent than Birmingham, where a bus carrying Freedom Riders was bombed and dogs were sent after children. It's where Dr. King did some of his most important work. Dr. King was even arrested in Birmingham, penning a letter from a Birmingham jail when he was arrested for defying a court order prohibiting marches. But he would have never come to Birmingham if it hadn't been for a man named Reverend Fred Shuttlesworth. Reverend Shuttlesworth was leading the fight for civil rights in the most segregated city in America. His home bombed, a target of the Klan, while leading marches and protests. Shuttlesworth co-founded the SCLC, the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, with Dr. King, and encouraged his friend to help him in the fight in the city known as Birmingham.
Had it not been for the courage and insistence of Fred Shuttlesworth to invite Dr. King to Birmingham, it's unsure if segregation would have ended as a result of the Civil Rights Bill of 1964, signed the following summer.
The fight for civil rights had many faces, and they have a home where they can forever be remembered. In Memphis, Tennessee, I'm Kelly Cook.
The National Civil Rights Museum also prides itself on being a meeting place for those currently involved in civil rights issues.
From traveling art exhibits to peaceful protests surrounding the Black Lives Matter movement, museum leaders want to make sure the museum stays relevant.
Coming up, people have traveled across the country to sample the legendary brisket of an Arkansas barbecue giant.